Migration is back on top of the political debate in Europe. Only words or concrete action this time? The reason is simple. The EU and member states have spent years trying and failing to reform the bloc's immigration and asylum framework. The result is a series of fragmented national immigration systems. But there seems to be a more common ground among governments nowadays. Most support for tougher measures on border control, increasing repatriations, building walls, preventing departures, and more agreements with third countries outside the EU. These measures are referred to those defined as irregular migrants. The Swedish government, which currently holds the 6 months EU Council presidency, which we covered in our last video explainer, is leading negotiations on a series of legislative files on migration. Among others, the Pact on Migration and Asylum is the main piece of legislation which will aim to harmonize national laws on migration management. Most of EU leaders agree on the need to increase migrants' repatriations, but this can't be done without the cooperation of countries outside the EU.
Together with third countries, we have managed to decrease the irregular arrivals through the Western Mediterranean route and Atlantic route, thanks to good cooperation also with our African partners.
A much trickier question is how to secure their support. In the past, the idea of cutting development aid for countries that do not take migrants back never gained traction. Now, the Commission appears to have put this back on the agenda, despite it is still being hard to envisage unanimous agreement on suspending or cutting aid. In the meantime, the focus on human rights and the protection of asylum seekers is probably going to take a backseat, since those mainly harmed by these initiatives are migrants, asylum seekers and refugees who will see a direct impact on their daily lives. Illegal and violent pushbacks. The consequences of the Italy-Libya Accords and the criminalization of NGOs at sea are among daily human rights violations for which national authorities, EU Borders Agency Frontex past administration, as well as third country governments are responsible for, and they are all symptoms of a continent that is more and more hostile to migrants. The new momentum towards a new EU migration system might point to a fortress Europe. If you want to know more about the topic, go check our politics page on Euractiv.com.